The hardest part about living in your car wasn't sleeping. It was pretending you weren't. Mia Holloway learned that during week 2. You got good at parking near places that stayed busy late enough to feel safe, but not busy enough for security to notice you. You learned which gas stations had clean bathrooms, which grocery stores didn't care if you lingered too long in the parking lot. And most importantly, you learned how to look temporary. Because people treated down on your luck very differently than homeless. Temporary made them comfortable. Homeless made them nervous. So every morning, Mia folded her blanket carefully into the trunk, brushed her hair using the rearview mirror, and drove somewhere new before sunrise made her situation visible. At 29, she owned exactly 3 valuable things: her car, her grandmother's old trunk, and the stubborn refusal to call her father for help. The first 2 sat in the back seat. The third one was becoming expensive. 3 months earlier, Mia still had an apartment. Not glamorous, but stable. Then the architecture firm she worked for lost 2 major contracts in 1 month. Layoffs followed quickly. Rent climbed anyway. Savings disappeared faster than pride. By the time Mia realized she was actually sinking, not just struggling, it was too late. The eviction notice arrived during the same week her grandmother died. Somehow the universe decided efficiency mattered. At the funeral, most relatives fought quietly over jewelry, antique furniture, and anything remotely valuable. Mia inherited the trunk because no one else wanted it. Literally, her aunt called it a moldy box full of dead paper. The trunk had belonged to her grandmother Eleanor for nearly 50 years. Heavy oak reinforced with brass corners, worn leather straps, and old travel stickers from places Mia had only heard about in stories. As a child, she used to sit beside it while Eleanor told her impossible-sounding family histories about hidden rail routes, abandoned estates, and relatives who vanished into mountain towns carrying cash during the Depression. Most people treated those stories like harmless old-age fiction. Mia secretly loved them. Now the trunk sat unopened in the back seat beside sleeping bags and grocery bags full of clothes. Life moved strangely fast sometimes. Rain hammered the roof of the car the night Mia finally opened it. She had parked beside a lake outside town after another failed job interview. The rejection email still glowed faintly on her phone screen. We've chosen a candidate with more recent experience. Translation: You look tired. The rain intensified. Water streaked across the windows in silver lines while thunder rolled somewhere beyond the lake. Mia leaned back in the driver's seat and stared at the trunk behind her. Well, she muttered softly, if I'm officially living inside Grandma's inheritance, I should probably know what's in it. She climbed awkwardly into the back seat. The trunk smelled faintly of cedar, dust, and old paper when she unlatched it. Inside were exactly the kinds of things everyone ignored after funerals. Letters, photographs, receipts, old notebooks tied with ribbon, a yellowed atlas. Nothing valuable, at least not obviously. Mia sorted through the contents slowly while rain drummed overhead. Photos first. Most showed places instead of people. Mountains, rail stations, old stone buildings, cabins near rivers. And in nearly every photo, Eleanor appeared standing beside the same man. Tall, dark-haired, sharp-eyed. Not Mia's grandfather. Interesting. Mia frowned slightly. Okay, Grandma. Then she found the journals. 3 leather-bound notebooks filled with Eleanor's handwriting. Travel notes mostly. Dates, locations, sketches, and strange repeated references to something called Black Hollow Station. Mia flipped further. Page after page described abandoned rail lines through mountain territory north of the state border. Then one sentence stopped her completely. The map remains hidden until someone desperate enough finally pays attention. Mia sat upright immediately. That's dramatic. Which unfortunately sounded exactly like Eleanor. She turned pages faster now. References became stranger. Mentions of hidden supply tunnels. Private vault routes during Prohibition. Families storing valuables away from banks during economic collapses. And repeatedly, Black Hollow Station. Then she noticed something odd. Several journal pages felt thicker than the others. Folded together. She separated them carefully. A hidden compartment had been cut directly into the journal pages. Inside rested a small brass key, and beneath it, a folded map. Mia froze. No way. Slowly, she unfolded it. The map showed old mountain rail systems stretching across 3 counties. Handwritten markings circled specific locations in red ink. Tunnels, stations, storage points, and near the center, a symbol matching the brass key. Beside it, Eleanor had written, "North access remains sealed. Use lower route near Hollow Creek." Mia stared at the map while thunder rattled the car windows. Because suddenly, this stopped feeling like stories. Then she saw another folded paper tucked beneath the map. A letter, addressed to her. Her chest tightened instantly. She opened it carefully. "Mia, if you found the map, then life probably cornered you hard enough to finally open the trunk properly. That's unfortunate, but useful." Mia laughed softly despite herself, still judging me from beyond the grave. "Nice." She kept reading. "Most people inherit objects and never question where they came from. That laziness protects old secrets better than locks ever could. Black Hollow Station was never abandoned the way newspapers claimed. Several families used the tunnels beneath it for decades after the rail system shut down. Storage, transfers, protection during bad years. What remains there now matters less than understanding why it survived." Mia's pulse quickened slightly. The letter continued. "You always notice details other people ignored. That's why I left the trunk to you instead of someone who mistakes visible wealth for intelligence. The key opens the lower access route beneath Hollow Creek Station. One warning. Others spent years searching for the map after your grandfather died. Most gave up. One man didn't." A sound outside interrupted her. Headlights swept across the lake parking area. Mia looked up immediately. A black SUV rolled slowly into the empty lot. Too slowly. Her stomach tightened. The vehicle parked 3 spaces away. Engine still running. Rain distorted the windows enough to hide the driver. But something about the timing felt wrong. Very wrong. Mia folded the map instantly, then noticed something else inside the trunk. Another hidden compartment beneath the false bottom. She lifted it carefully. Inside sat an old revolver wrapped in cloth. And another note. Shorter this time. "If someone followed the trunk before you found the map, leave immediately." The SUV door opened outside. A man stepped into the rain wearing a dark coat and carrying a flashlight. He looked directly toward Mia's car. Not casual. Certain. Mia's pulse spiked hard. Because suddenly her grandmother's stories didn't feel romantic anymore. They felt real. The man began walking toward her vehicle slowly through the rain. And somewhere beneath the mountains, a hidden station waited with answers someone clearly didn't want her finding first. Mia didn't think. She moved. The journals, map, and brass key vanished into her backpack in seconds while rain hammered the roof hard enough to shake the car. Outside, the man kept walking toward her slowly through the darkness. Not rushed. Not uncertain. Like someone who already knew she was there. The revolver remained wrapped inside the trunk. Mia stared at it for half a second, then shut the compartment instead. Nope. She grabbed the keys, climbed into the driver's seat, and started the car just as the man reached the edge of the headlights. He raised one hand immediately, not waving, signaling her to stop. Mia hit reverse instead. The tires spun briefly in mud before catching traction. The SUV's headlights snapped on instantly behind her. "Oh, come on." She swung the car onto the road as rain blurred everything beyond the windshield. The SUV followed. Of course it did. The drive north lasted nearly 3 hours. Not because the station was far, because Mia kept changing routes, doubling back, and watching her mirrors every 30 seconds like paranoia had suddenly become survival. Twice she lost the SUV. Twice it reappeared. By the time mountain roads replaced highways, her hands ached from gripping the steering wheel too hard. "This is insane," she whispered repeatedly. But the map on the passenger seat kept proving otherwise. Black Hollow Station existed. Old rail records online confirmed it after she stopped briefly near a diner with weak Wi-Fi. Shut down in 1968 after tunnel collapses. Abandoned. Unsafe. Exactly the kind of place nobody visited anymore. Perfect place to hide something for 50 years. Dawn approached slowly as the mountains rose around her. Then she saw the sign. Hollow Creek. Population 312. The town looked half asleep. Old storefronts. Closed rail buildings. Fog drifting through narrow streets. Mia followed the map carefully toward the creek running behind the abandoned station yard. The rail station itself sat decaying beside the mountainside like a forgotten wound in the landscape. Broken windows. Collapsed platform roof. Rust-covered tracks swallowed by weeds. And beyond it, the mountain tunnel entrance. Sealed with heavy steel gates. Exactly like the journal described. Mia parked beneath trees near the creek and killed the engine. Silence settled instantly. No SUV. Not yet. Good. She grabbed the backpack and climbed out carefully. Cold morning air hit immediately. The map showed the lower access route somewhere beside the creek beneath the station. Mia followed the waterline slowly through thick brush and moss-covered stone. Then she found it, half hidden behind fallen timber and vines. A rusted maintenance door built directly into the rock. Her pulse quickened. The brass key fit perfectly. Of course it did. The lock resisted at first, then opened with a deep metallic thunk echoing somewhere inside the mountain. Cold air drifted outward, carrying the smell of wet stone, cedar, and old machinery. Not decay. Maintenance. Exactly like Eleanor's stories. Mia stepped inside cautiously. The tunnel lights flickered on automatically one by one deeper underground. Okay, she whispered. That's officially terrifying. The tunnel descended gradually beneath the mountain. Concrete walls reinforced with old rail supports stretched into darkness. Water dripped somewhere far away. Then the passage widened, and Mia stopped walking entirely. Because hidden beneath Black Hollow Station, someone had built an entire underground storage complex. Massive steel vault doors lined the chamber walls. Old rail carts rested beside loading platforms. Shelves filled with crates and locked cases stretched through adjoining corridors, disappearing deeper underground. Electric systems still hummed softly overhead. This place wasn't abandoned. It was preserved. At the center of the chamber sat a large wooden desk beneath hanging industrial lights. And resting on top, an envelope, her name written across the front. MIA. Naturally. She approached slowly and opened it immediately. Mia, if you reach the station before Marcus Kane, then you still have choices. That's good. Mia frowned. Marcus Kane. Probably raincoat flashlight guy. The letter continued. Your grandfather helped operate Black Hollow during the economic crashes of the 1970s. Families stored valuables here because banks failed too often and public attention became dangerous. Gold passed through these tunnels occasionally. Cash too. But people searching for treasure always misunderstood the station's real value. Mia sat slowly in the chair. The underground complex hummed quietly around her. What does that even mean? She kept reading. Black Hollow survived because it became a private preservation network. Hidden ownership records. Land deeds. Quiet investments protected outside public systems. Entire businesses passed through these tunnels anonymously during bad years. Most fortunes disappear publicly long before they collapse privately. Mia blinked slowly. So the station wasn't hiding pirate gold. It was hiding infrastructure, legal records, ownership systems, protected wealth. The letter continued. Marcus believes the station contains missing gold reserves from the old rail syndicates. Let him. Greedy men chase dramatic stories because boring truths require patience. The actual fortune is secured inside Vault C beneath the registry floor. A loud metallic echo interrupted her. The tunnel entrance. Someone opening the outer door. Mia stood instantly. No. Too fast. Footsteps echoed faintly through the passage. Calm. Measured. Marcus. She grabbed the letter and scanned the chamber quickly. There. Near the far wall. A steel door marked. Vault C. Beside it. A mechanical key slot. Mia inserted the brass key. The vault unlocked with a heavy hydraulic hiss. She slipped inside immediately and sealed it behind her just as footsteps entered the main chamber outside. Darkness swallowed the room briefly. Then soft lights activated overhead. Mia froze. Because Vault C looked nothing like she expected. No mountains of gold. No stacks of cash. Instead, rows of shelves. Boxes. File cabinets. Document tubes. Locked cases. And dozens of sealed ledgers organized meticulously. At the center sat another desk. And another letter. Eleanor apparently believed consistency mattered. Mia opened it immediately. Good. You chose the correct vault. If Marcus arrives outside, do not negotiate from fear. Men like him mistake desperation for weakness. Vault C contains ownership records tied to land, mineral rights, transport corridors, and businesses quietly preserved through multiple economic collapses. Most were abandoned publicly but remained legally protected privately through the station network. Mia opened one nearby cabinet. Deeds. Hundreds of them. Not in properties. Industrial routes. Storage facilities. Water rights. Mining access. Entire forgotten holdings scattered across several states. Her chest tightened. This is worth a fortune, not flashy wealth, enduring wealth, infrastructure again, systems, exactly like Eleanor described. Outside the vault, Marcus's voice echoed calmly. Mia. She stiffened immediately. I know you're in there. Of course he did. The vault wasn't exactly subtle. Marcus continued. Your grandmother was very difficult to track. Mia moved toward the small reinforced vault window cautiously. Marcus stood outside wearing the same dark coat, flashlight resting calmly in one hand. Older than she expected. Late 50s maybe. Sharp-eyed. Not reckless. Which made him worse. You followed me because of the trunk? She asked. Marcus smiled slightly. I followed Eleanor for 20 years. You were simply easier. Not comforting. He stepped closer. You've probably realized by now the station's value isn't in buried gold. Funny. Grandma said greedy people never understood that. Marcus laughed softly. She always enjoyed being dramatic. Mia crossed her arms. What do you actually want? The registry network, Marcus answered honestly. Interesting. No lies. No fake stories. The preserved ownership systems tied to Black Hollow are worth billions quietly over time. Most properties remain dormant because nobody knows they still legally exist. Mia thought about the shelves behind her. Entire fortunes forgotten because people stopped paying attention publicly. Marcus continued carefully. Your grandmother protected the network long after everyone else died. But systems like this eventually require consolidation. Translation. Control. Always the same. Mia looked around Vault C again, then remembered something Eleanor wrote earlier. Greedy men chase dramatic stories because boring truths require patience. Suddenly Mia understood completely. The station survived because almost nobody recognized what actually mattered. Not treasure. Records. Ownership. Quiet continuity. Marcus studied her expression carefully. You understand now. Yeah, Mia said softly. I think I do. He nodded once. Then you understand why this can't remain hidden forever. Mia looked directly at him. No, she said calmly. I understand why it survived this long. Silence filled the chamber. Marcus sighed softly. Then unexpectedly, he smiled. Not warmly. Respectfully. Eleanor said you were the only grandchild who listened to entire stories. Mia blinked. You knew her personally? For years. That complicated things. Marcus stepped back from the vault door. I'm not your enemy, Mia. Then why follow me through a rainstorm like a serial killer? He actually laughed at that. Fair criticism. Then his expression turned serious again. The station will attract attention eventually. Decide carefully who learns it still exists. With that, he turned and walked back toward the tunnel. Just like that. No violence. No dramatic showdown. Only warning. Somehow that felt more real. 6 months later, Mia no longer lived in her car. But she still kept the old trunk. The station beneath Black Hollow remained operational quietly under a preservation trust Eleanor designed decades earlier. Most of the dormant properties stayed untouched. A few didn't. Carefully selected land rights and forgotten holdings quietly stabilized Mia's entire life without ever attracting public attention. Which apparently was the point. At sunset sometimes, she stood inside the underground registry chamber listening to distant water echo through mountain tunnels, while rows of forgotten histories surrounded her. People always imagined fortunes dramatically. Gold, diamonds, stacks of cash. But Eleanor understood something better. The most powerful wealth usually looked boring until someone patient enough learned how systems actually worked. And now, so did Mia.